Welcome back. So excited to have you here for today's topic on finding your voice. So, finding and owning and using your voice is one of the core things that I believe in, that I work with people on, that I love to talk about. And obviously, from a bit of my story where I talked about how I felt like I had this confidence that maybe I didn't always feel internally, or I didn't always speak up or say things that maybe I would have wanted to say. I think more so than maybe other people that I know or have worked with, I have always used my voice and would speak up when I didn't agree with things or would share ideas. But there was also those times when I had in the back of my head questioning what I would say or my ideas. And especially going back to my time when I felt like my confidence was really at my lowest, when I had transitioned into this team lead role that I kind of shared before, and starting to manage peers and just navigate things that were a bit more outside my comfort zone. I remember feeling at that point like I didn't know what my voice was. I didn't know what I stood for. I didn't know what I wanted to take a stance on. And so, thinking about those moments, I can remember where I would doubt myself more. I would second guess when I had an idea, or I would find myself thinking, like, don't share your idea, don't speak up in that moment because you're not as knowledgeable. I think it's really easy for people to speak up more often when they feel like they have all the answers, or they're like the smartest one in the room on a certain topic. If you're the expert on the topic, it's a lot easier to talk about it. However, we're not always the expert on everything, right? And I think that's when we really start to silence ourselves, is when you feel like there's people who are smarter than you in the room, or when you feel like there's people who are further along than you in the room. And then all of a sudden you start to silence yourself, and you're not even asking questions to understand, or you're not sharing the ideas you do have, or you're not tapping into the experience and all of the transferable skills that you do have, because you feel like maybe you're not at their level, or you feel like you still have so much more to learn. I think that's where we can get really hung up, is because then we're not using our voice to grow. We're not finding our voice in this new environment. And for me, I can think back to, even though I knew I had all these skills and I knew that I had all of these things that I had to offer, I wasn't necessarily speaking up as much because I was doubting myself. And even when I transitioned out of there and I went into a new industry, I felt that even more so, because I was at this smaller company. I was in a totally new industry. And I remember having those moments where I was like, well, I'm just going to follow what this person's doing and saying, and I'm not going to really question it, or I'm not going to find my own way of doing it because I'm not the expert in this. But what I was forgetting was that I had all of this experience. And so I see this a lot with my clients, whether they're my clients working in corporate. So when I'm working one-on-one with executives, or I'm working with leadership teams, and also when I'm working with my entrepreneurs and my small business owners, you start to either you feel like when you get into that next level that you start to lose your voice a little bit, or you don't necessarily know what you stand for anymore. And so when we talk about finding and owning and really using your voice, one of the first things that I always say is, what do you want to be known for? What do you stand for? And that largely comes from your personal brand, which, if you want to dig more into that, we talked about that on last week's episode when we talked about building your influence, which really goes hand in hand with this as well. If you want to build your influence, you first need to figure out your brand and your voice. But when we talk about finding your voice, so it's, what do you stand for? What do you want to be known for? But then also, now, how do you want to bring that to life? And really starting to get to know more about yourself and self-trust, and trusting yourself, and trusting that you know within you the answers, or that you know that you can figure it out, right? So part of that path to building confidence is that courage to do something that maybe you haven't done, and then it's the consistent action, and it's trusting yourself. I think at the core of all of that is trusting yourself that you can figure it out. And when people start to lose their voice or feel like they aren't speaking up for things, it's oftentimes because they're doubting themselves so much. And we have to anchor back and come back to finding who we are and being able to share that with people. Right. And so oftentimes, if I've got somebody who we're working on helping them speak up more and speak with more confidence and get their message out there to people, it has to come back to who are you at the core and what is it that you want to bring to the light? What is it that you want to share with people? What are these experiences in your story that you have to share with people? When I'm working with some of my speaking clients, so people who really want to actually get into more public speaking and use speaking to grow their business. And the first couple sessions is always about understanding more about who you are. What is your story? Like, tell me your journey. Where have you been? What have you achieved? And what have you learned? What are those lessons? What happened along the way? So it's where were you, where you are now, and what are those things that you've learned and lessons that you want to help other people with? And what are these skills that you have that kind of blend beautifully together with your story and your skills and who you would want to share that message with? All of that is part of finding your voice and finding those things that really matter to you, that you want to talk about and that you want to help people with and that you want to teach people, right? So we're talking through, again, for people who really want to get into doing more speaking or growing a business with speaking, it's getting more clear on who you are and what your skills are and what your story is and what is that you want to bring to the light. And then it's that building that confidence that it matters, that you matter, that what you have to say matters. And this is where, when we talk about finding your voice, like, it's not anywhere else. It's not anywhere but within you. So it's finding it back within you and then owning it and using it and unapologetically standing for the thing that you stand for, whether that's in the boardroom, whether that's in a meeting, whether that's in front of a large audience of people, whether that's on social media with your business. It's unapologetically and authentically using what you already have within you. The message that's on your heart, the thing that's, within you that you just really want to say, the thing that you want to shake people and tell them or teach them. That's the thing that you are meant to offer to this world. And I truly, genuinely believe that no matter what your role is, what your position is, where your career path is that you have a gift that you are meant to discover and share with people and help other people with. That's largely why I got into speaking, is because not only did I feel like speaking was my gift, like it was this thing that I have had since I was a kid that I love to do. And because I love to do it and because I felt like it was something that came more naturally to me, then I also put more attention and effort into continuing to grow it and use it and use my voice more and continue to hone sort of my craft. But then also now I feel like it's part of my responsibility to help other people with this, which is why I love helping other people with speaking and communication and how can we communicate more effectively and confidently, whether we are influencing someone, whether we're giving feedback to someone, or if we're out there sharing our own message and trying to get on stages and share our story. Like, I feel like that's part of my responsibility. I feel like that's part of me finding my voice, was owning my own voice and my own message, but then also helping other people to do that too, helping them to pull that out from within them. And so I really want you to think about, what does finding your voice mean to you? And what pieces of your voice are you not using? Think of those moments when you were either in a meeting, you were in a situation that you so badly wanted to say something, or that you wanted to offer an idea, or you wanted to ask a question and you didn't. And what stopped you? I remember back, I was leading a session for this women's conference, and the session was on speaking with confidence. And I had this moment where I asked if anyone had any questions. And there was this woman who in the front row, and I can visualize the whole situation. She was in the front row, and imagine, a hand just kind of slowly going up. Like, it just kind of is like by her side. Like, oh, wait, over here. Like, I don't want to raise my hand too high or be too big. Or is this okay time? Like, we second guess ourselves. And I called her out on it in a loving way. Hopefully she received it that way. And I said, like, right there, because we were talking about owning your voice and confidently and saying what you need to say. And I called her out and I said, put that hand in the air, baby. Like, raise that hand up, put it up higher. I think women especially can struggle with this, is feeling like they don't want to take up too much space. They don't want to uh, take up too much of the meeting. They don't want to say too much, right? And so we let other people ask the questions or speak up. And part of that was like, no, put your hand in. That's part of finding and owning your voice. You have a question, and here I am asking if you have questions, like raise your hand and ask it. But we get so much in our head. And you can notice that people who have really built their confidence and really have come to really love and own who they are. I think that's the way I want to say it. Like they have this confidence about them, and they have this love and authenticity about them that they will ask the question even if they feel like it's a dumb question, quote unquote, or they know that it's not a dumb question because no question's a dumb question. Or these people who will throw out an idea and be like, I know this is kind of crazy, but I'm going to throw it out there. Or they just have this way of speaking up when they want to speak up. And I see that is one of people's biggest hindrances, is not only are they doubting themselves, and then it sort of creates this like ripple effect then, because they doubt themselves, and so they either don't ask the question, or they don't speak up, they don't say what they want to say or ask what they want. But then when they do it in such like this timid manner, or they start to doubt themselves when they're talking. And so then they just keep talking. And what I say is like they almost word vomit, especially when I'm working with people who are in kind of that entrepreneur space. And if they're on like sales calls or really anything, if you're trying to convince someone or influence them of your idea, but you're not confident in it and you're doubting it, then oftentimes what you do is you start to just over talk, and you just keep talking until people's heads are spinning and they're so confused about what it was. And it's because you started to doubt it. You knew it. You knew that your idea or this thing that you had to offer was a great thing to help this person. This was a great idea. You had something that you knew could help this person or this situation. But the moment you started to doubt yourself is the moment that your voice started to diminish, and it started to get quieter, or it started to get more nervous. So I want to challenge you to think about, what is it that I'm not saying? Or what is it that I'm not expressing? What is it that I'm not sharing with other people that I really want to? Or what are those moments that you're doubting yourself? And what would it feel like if you would just say it? Just do it. Just shout it from the rooftops. Like, this is what I want. This is my idea. This is what I have to offer. And like, if we start to build that muscle of using our voice more and more, then it's crazy how that builds that muscle of that confidence, and it's easier to use your voice in other situations. Like, I remember when I first started my business and I started having to use social media and put like videos and stuff up of myself. That was so uncomfortable, because while I had no problem with public speaking and I had been doing speaking for years, I had this voice in my head telling me that like social media was so different and that it was so uncomfortable. And it's supposed to, like, you're supposed to look back at something that you did years ago and cringe, because it was like, oh my gosh, what was I doing? That's supposed to happen, because that means you put yourself out there and that you learn, right? But I remember one of the first times that I had to hold up that camera in front of my face and do a video on social media, and it felt so awkward and it felt so uncomfortable. And then I did it. And I did it, and I did it again. And here I am years later, still doing it. It's so much more, it's so much easier to do now. It's so much more comfortable. It's so much more fun. And that's the same thing with anything. Once you start doing it more, once you start raising your hand more, once you start asking questions more, once you start sharing your ideas more, it gets easier, right? And if you have this story or this message you want to share that with people in a broader way and start doing more of that public speaking or things, we have to start with those little moments. If you want to get in front of larger groups and be able to do more presentations, if you want to be able to do public speaking, if you want to be able to get paid to speak, if you want to be able to share your ideas in front of a large group of people, whatever environment you're in, it's those little moments of you using your voice to ask a question when there's just a couple people in the room, to drop an idea when there's just a couple people in the room, and then we build that up. Right? And so really starting to figure out what are those like let's call them like micro moments, right? What are those micro moments that I can start to use my voice more so that I build that muscle and that comfort level and that practice and that confidence, and then it gets easier and easier and easier to do. But first, you have to start with finding it within you. It's not anywhere else, right? It's great to get feedback from other people about their perception of you, or feedback about things that you could be doing better. Like we can all get better from feedback and asking people and having them hold us accountable. I do that a lot of times with my executives and things. If they're working on speaking more clearly, if they're working on sharing their ideas more, or working on certain things with presenting or speaking, we get clear on it first, and then I tell them to tell other people that they're working with to watch out for that and to hold them accountable and give them feedback. That's a great thing. But that validation isn't going to do it for you, right? We're not looking to other people to give us that confidence. It has to start from within. We have to find it from within first. And then we use that feedback to help us, but we're not seeking out other people's approval and validation of what we're doing, of our ideas. It has to start from you finding what it is within you that you want to share, and finding that strength and that confidence to share it. And then we continue to get feedback and we continue to grow. But I find a lot of people are just always constantly seeking it from everybody else. And now you don't even know what you stand for. You don't even know what this thing is that you want to share with the world, because you have so much noise in your head from other people telling you, well, you should do this, or you should do that, or have you thought about this? And we just lose who we are and what we want, and the message that we have. So this is what I really wanted to talk to you about today. And I really want you to use this as prompts to sort of think through, where am I not using my voice as much as I want to? Where am I sort of muddling down the message? Like, I want to say it much more like loudly and proudly, or I want to say it a little bit more assertively, and I'm muting myself, or I'm watering down the thing that I really want to say, or that I really want to share. What are those moments? And where can you start to get a little more uncomfortable? Where can you start to put yourself in positions that make you a little bit more uncomfortable, and have to use your voice more, and have to own your ideas more? Because that is what's going to stretch you and grow you and get you to those bigger places. And where can you stop doubting yourself and just say it? Like, say what you want to say, and find a way to do it in a way with this confidence and this conviction. And, especially when we're talking to people and we're trying to influence them either to work with us or to hire us, or of our idea, it has to be clear and confident and concise, which is why communication skills are such a key thing no matter what role or position you're in. Because if you can say it with this confidence, with this conviction, then other people are going to believe it. But you have to believe it first, and you have to know that you have value to offer, and that you have, like, what you have to say other people need to hear. You have to believe that in order for other people to believe it. So where can you start finding and owning and really using your voice more? I hope this was helpful. And if you are somebody who has an entrepreneurial spirit, if you're a business owner, if you are looking to actually really use your voice in a larger way and actually grow and scale your business with speaking, if you want to do more public speaking, or even become a paid professional speaker, I actually have a program coming up, my Speak Up Stand Out 10-week speaker academy. This is for people to really learn how to grow and scale your business using speaking and become a paid speaker. So for those who actually want to do professional speaking, I have this program coming up. I'm going to drop the link in the show notes so that you can check it out. This is for you. We go through my signature program for becoming a paid speaker and really learning how to find and own and use your story and your message. And if you're someone who is looking to use your voice, your authentic voice, more within your company and as a leader, of course, reach out to me. Let me know what you're looking for support with. I also do coaching with a lot of executives who are looking for support in this space. So, whatever your goals are, remember that you have a gift and you have a voice and you have a message to share with other people, and other people are waiting for you to use it and to help them and to teach them. See you soon.